Hello, this is Martin Gore from Depeche Mode.
Hi, this is Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode, and you are listening to
My Nerd World.
And welcome to it. I'm your host, Jon Justice. Depeche Mode, the podcast, and I'm glad you are with another episode this week. It's going to be relatively short. I almost didn't do a podcast this week. There's a lot going on in the world of Jon Justice at the moment, and little news coming from Depeche Mode. I certainly hope that you enjoyed my conversation with Rob Rom last week. If you didn't listen to that episode, I encourage you to go and check it out. He debuted his new single, which I've been listening to quite a bit on the brink. I encourage you to go and check it out and partake in his contest to try to get the listens up of his latest single, offering up the possibility to grab a signed and autographed Depeche Mode Memento Mori era poster from him. So be sure to go and check out last week's episode if you didn't have a chance to. This week I'm basically catching up on your email. Not a lot of email to get to this week. And like I said, I hesitated on even recording a show, but decided, you know what, I'll sit down. A couple of you wrote me, and I want to make sure that I can talk a little bit about what you had to say. So, listen, with that, again, no new news at all. I look every single week. I scour the internet to find out if anything going on with the band I might have missed. I look on the social networking platforms, and things are quiet in the Depeche Mode camp. And we talked about that quite a bit during my conversation with Rob Rom last week on the show. I'm even looking at the Depeche Mode home forum, of which there is never any shortage of commentary going on, including at the moment a couple of the busier threads, one being a conversation taking place of the useless Kruder and Dorfmeister remix. Also, conversations continuing regarding the devotional remastered rumor going around that we also talked about on last week's episode. A lot of the conversation swirling on Home 2 is centered around, and this would be Depeche-Mode.com and the Home forum, which in my opinion is the best Depeche Mode forum online. There's some good European ones, but a lot of those are in languages that I don't speak. But the conversation surrounding devotional is about how the footage uses different music from various shows in piecing together the performance. That was always the thing, and maybe you can help me out with this. Again, what I said was going to be a short show may end up being a regular length show, depending on how much I wipe out on this particular topic. But watching 101, I remember that having listened to the 101 disc of the Pasadena Rose Bowl show, it seemed as if when you're watching the movie that the live tracks, the live footage during the movie, I'm sorry, it's been a long day. I've done about 4 hours in total of radio already today. So it seems as if the live footage during the film, before they get to the Rose Bowl show, the audio of those songs appears to match what is on and what was recorded at the Rose Bowl. Now, it may just be the consistency of Dave and the band and how much every show just sounds very much the same. But it's also clear watching that live footage that there's a lot of shows that aren't taking place at the Rose Bowl. And I was actually confused on some of the first times that I watched the movie, because I kind of thought that I was watching footage from the Rose Bowl show throughout the entire documentary film. And it wasn't until getting the VHS when it was released that I realized, oh, these are actually performances in different venues. And you can just see that from some of the crowd shots. You can actually see a roof overhead and various other things that I didn't pick up on a first viewing, even though those tracks sound like they are the ones that are directly from the Rose Bowl show and the 101 release. And again, unless they played shenanigans with that, I mean, I tend to believe, I haven't read anything otherwise, that the 101 release is indeed that Rose Bowl show. So I'd be curious your thoughts on that, because that's what the conversation is focused on regarding the devotional release and some of the frustrations that people have with various mixes not matching with Dave's screams and things of that nature. And there's a couple of moments within 101 where that happens as well. As a matter of fact, I saw somebody that had made a comment that it throws them off, it takes them out when the music of the performance isn't matching the actual performance that's taking place on stage. So I'd be very interested for those that get into all of the intricacies and variables relating to the live releases. I'd be really interested to hear what you had to say regarding that. So let's dive into your listener feedback this week. And again, I only have a few. It's been a quiet week, and that's all right. Things are busy right now. TalkShowNerd@gmail.com. First, we hear from Stephanie from the Baltic Coast. Hi, John. I wanted you to know the name of the German radio station that plays Depeche Mode 24/7. It's 80s. And the homepage is 80s, and that's 80s80s.de. And an app there, the station Depeche Mode. It's as simple as that. Have fun. Best regards. Thank you, Stephanie. I haven't had a chance to check it out because I have been so busy, but I definitely will in the near future. Next up, we hear from friend of the show, Jason, who writes, I, for one, believe that there will be a live release for Memento Mori. Until an official announcement, no one is likely to say anything before then in the DM camp. And the reasons Anton gave, claiming production costs would be too much, doesn't make sense, and is probably his polite way of stopping every fan asking that he meets until the official announcement. I have a family member who tours as a headline act. No names, but they've worked with Dave Bascombe with great success. And I've always release a DVD and now a Blu-ray after every tour. They're actually on tour at the moment, and I will try to find out what it costs to put out a live DVD. Their fan base is nothing like DM's, and possibly with the odd exception of a few shows where they play some larger venues, they would need to ship in all the filming and recording equipment and crew for the show being filmed. Whereas with every DM show, they had the two main cameras front of stage and the other mini cameras placed at various points on stage. Plus, they recorded the audio each night. So with the exception of some roaming cameras on stage and a camera catching the long shots, they have most of what they need every night without any additional cost to put a live release together. And I can't imagine the cost to edit and mix a show would be much different. The only exception would be the actual packaging and any additional content. And my relatives' sale figures would be a fraction of DM's. So for Anton to say it doesn't make financial sense doesn't add up. Plus, the costs do not seem to put the band off putting out constant reissues, and they can't be cheap to do or even big sellers to make much profit. The 12-inch vinyl box sets, desirable? No. Necessary? No. Most fans probably own most of the originals on vinyl when they first released, or they own the reissues they did on CD. Plus, to remaster, press vinyl, and repackage couldn't have been cheap. Strange and Strange 2, desirable? Yes. Necessary? Maybe. Most of us probably have the VHS, which is probably well worn and no longer own a VHS player. And we probably have most of the videos from on DVD and other DVD releases. To transfer, remaster, and repackage, again, couldn't be much cheaper than putting together a live release of the Memento Mori tour. Or perhaps I'm just being naive. A release of Memento Mori live, desirable? Yes. Necessary? Yes. Something new would be a much bigger seller than other re-releases I've mentioned. And I have a theory on why there's been no proper 12-inch releases for the Memento Mori singles, with the exception of the white label releases. As the band know, they are close to the end of the 12-inch reissue vinyl box set cycle. Rather than release the proper 12-inch singles containing all the remixes and artwork at the same time, there's probably plans afoot to release a proper 12-inch singles as a box set, and didn't want fans shelling out again several months later. And if it's not destined for a greatest hits package or a new album, those 4 tracks could be the extra special disc in the package. And finally, I suspect that there will be some DM news about something new towards the end of this month, start of next. With good wishes, Jason. That's a lot to chew on there, Jason. You know, it's one thing that I don't think I've ever talked about on the show. But what is pretty incredible is the volume of ancillary releases and items that Depeche Mode has put out. It is really incredible. I know that I've complained, and even recently, about the lack of the documentaries after, Playing the Angel, right? We didn't get one for Delta Machine, didn't get one for Spirit, didn't get one for Memento Mori. And things certainly got pared down, and we talked about that in detail. I talked about that in detail with Rob Rom last week when it came to Memento Mori. And I agree. I think a lot of that just came down to that the expectation was pretty low in terms of how well the band was going to do. And again, those questions that I would love to ask Martin or Dave is, what was the attitude going into that tour? And and how did that compare with the attitude during the tour and coming out of the tour based off of the level of success that they had? Listen, that Memento Mori tour was pretty damn incredible. In terms of the set list, the versions of the songs that they played, the energy of the band, the visuals in and of themselves. I mean, really, it's the best tour, in my view, in quite a long time. I liked the stage setup a lot for Delta Machine. Spirit, less so. Certainly less so for Sounds of the Universe. I felt that was a real missed opportunity. I actually went back and tried to watch a bit of the Barcelona Blu-ray, and there's moments in it that I quite enjoy, but I always like the opening portions of a Depeche Mode show. If I had one complaint on the Memento Mori tour, it was the decision to start with My Cosmos Is Mine, but also sort of the lack of a good visual. I like the opening with going backwards on the Spirit tour, and I like the use of In Chains on the Sounds of the Universe tour. That being said, the visuals that Anton came up with and the way that the screen was set up with the ball up top just didn't really work for me. And I guess all of that is to say, one, it would be a shame, and I agree with Jason. It's necessary to get a live Memento Mori tour release. But then two, going through my own collection of Depeche Mode stuff, again, the sheer volume of extra releases that they've put out. And the reason I bring that up is because this past weekend I actually grabbed the singles videos. I never got the complete package of all of them, but the singles release set of videos, the double disc set that has the interviews with it. The menus are pretty old by DVD standards because they were DVD. We haven't received a Blu-ray update of that. The interviews are still really good, and of course the videos are always just simply fun to watch. And so I agree with Jason. I expect that we'll receive some information soon about some more ancillary releases. There's money to be made, and I just simply can't imagine that Depeche Mode would go and leave that money on the table. All right, listen, that wraps up the show for this week. Like I said, I got to keep it short. I've been really busy, and almost was just going to put out a podcast saying, hey, I'll do one next week, but I thought I'd give you just at least a little bit of content. Thank you so much for checking it out this week. I appreciate it. Listen, I do this for my own edification and fun. If you enjoy it, that's awesome, and I really appreciate it. Drop me an email, talkshownerd@gmail.com. And do me a favor, if you haven't already, check out my science fiction series. You love Depeche Mode. If you also like science fiction, treat yourself, a friend, or a family member with sci-fi, set in the future where air and spaceflight culture has replaced car culture. It is inspired in part by Depeche Mode, life in the so-called space age, the world we live in, and life in general. The main character himself, yeah, it's based on me, is a master. The characters of the stories and it features references to Depeche Mode, both direct and indirect, while telling an exciting science fiction space opera saga. As Earth faces its end, follow pilots Taft, Katha, and their crew on a journey of survival across the galaxy as they fight for humanity's future. Go to Amazon.com and search for EMBARK, Jon, Jon Justice, to pick up your preferred copy in ebook, Kindle Unlimited, hardcover, paperback, and audiobook. And I've been considering giving away some copies of my book. I've got a lot of them in my closet. So, if you're interested in me doing some book giveaways, got to be in the U.S. because it's way too expensive to ship overseas, unfortunately. But if you're interested in picking up a free copy of my book, let me know. Maybe we can figure something out. Either way, thank you so much for checking out this abbreviated episode of Depeche Mode, the podcast. I hope wherever you are, you're happy, you're healthy, you're safe. God bless, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye.
Hello, this is Martin Gore from Depeche Mode.
Hi, this is Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode.